Hi, I'm Kristin Omdahl and welcome back to my studio. In this video, I want to show you some tips and tricks for getting started making one of the projects from my brand new book, 24 Crochet Hats, Interesting Techniques and Inclusive Sizing for Men, Women, Children, and Babies. Let's get started. This is the Hibiscus Flower Embellished Hat. This fun and whimsical design is made easy by starting with the flower at the crown. The remainder of the hat continues from there for a seamless design. It is shown here in a variety of colors, but would be equally as pretty in a solid color. You will need number 3 DK weight yarn. This is shown in Be So Baby yarn in colors Diva, Orchid, Violet, and Peach. You will need 1 ball each of each color, regardless of which size of the hat you make, and there are 5 sizes available, starting from 16-inch circumference through 24-inch circumference. You can find written instructions for all 5 sizes plus detailed charts in the pattern. The hat begins at the top of the crown, and we're going to make the 3-dimensional flower first, and then pick up and work the hat down from there. So we start with the top of the flower. I'm using colorway Diva for the first color. After we tie our yarn to our crochet hook, we're going to chain 6, slip stitch to the 6th chain from your hook to form a ring. Round 1 is chain 3, 2 treble crochets in the ring, yarn over twice, insert your hook in the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on your hook, and yarn over, pull through 2 loops on your hook. That's 1 treble crochet. We'll do that one more time. Chain 3 and slip stitch in the ring. That's our first petal made. We want to repeat this for a total of 6 times. I'll show you one more. Okay, so now I have 2 petals in the ring. And because we're working around the ring, we're able to slide our stitches over to make more room. You want to repeat this 4 more times for a total of 6 petals in the ring. This is what the end of round 1 should look like, and you should have 6 petals. Round 2 begins with a chain 3, working behind the petals on the previous round. We're going to single crochet in the next slip stitch. The important part here is to remember to work those chain 3 spaces behind the petals. And we're going to repeat this all the way around. Chain 3, working behind the next petal, single crochet in the next slip stitch, and we'll repeat that all the way around. On the last repeat of round 2, we'll slip stitch to the first stitch at the beginning of the round to join. And so at the end of round 2, it kind of looks the same as at the end of round 1 from the right side, because it's those chain 3 spaces that you'll see on the wrong side of the work. Round 3 begins with a slip stitch into the next chain 3 space. And so we'll be working in those chain 3 spaces behind the petals, chain 3, 5 treble crochets in that same chain 3 space, chain 3, and slip stitch in that same chain 3 space. And that's what we're going to repeat all the way around. In each chain 3 space, we're going to work slip stitch, chain 3, 5 treble crochet, chain 3, and slip stitch. This is what the end of round 3 should look like. We're now going to cut our yarn and fasten off and join our next color of yarn. So this was Diva. We're going to add Orchid now. So I'll tie this color yarn to my crochet hook. And we're going to join this yarn with any slip stitch in between the two petals on the previous round. Okay, and now we're going to work a chain 5. And again, just like with round 2, we're going to work behind the petals of the previous round. And we're going to single crochet in the next chain slip stitch, chain 5, working behind the next petal, and then single crochet in the next slip stitch, and repeat this all the way around. Whoops, make sure those chain 5 spaces are behind the petals. On the last repeat, we replace the last single crochet with a slip stitch to the first stitch at the beginning of the round to join. And that's what the end of round 4 should look like. You shouldn't be able to see it very well from the front of the work, but you should see all of those chain 5 spaces on the back side of the work. And then round 5 begins with a slip stitch into that first chain 5 space, chain 3, 5 treble crochet, chain 3, and slip stitch all in that same chain space. And that's what we'll repeat all the way around. Slip stitch, chain 3, 5 treble, chain 3, and slip stitch into each chain space around. And this is what your work should look like at the end of round 5. We're going to now begin round 6 with a slip stitch into the next slip stitch, chain 7, and working behind the last petal worked on the previous round, single crochet into the next slip stitch, chain 7, working behind the next petal, single crochet in the next slip stitch. And you want to repeat this all the way around. On the last repeat, we'll slip stitch to the first stitch at the beginning of the round to join. And just like in previous even rounds, you're not going to see this round from the front side of the work, but you will see those chain 7 spaces on the back side of the work. Round 7 begins with a slip stitch into that first chain 7 space. And then in that chain 7 space, we're going to work chain 3, 7 treble crochets, chain 3, and slip stitch. Chain 3, 7 treble crochets, chain 3, slip stitch in the same chain 7 space. And so now on each chain 7 space around, we're going to work slip stitch, chain 3, 7 treble crochets, chain 3, slip stitch. And this is what our work should look like at the end of round 7. Round 8, we're going to repeat round 6, which is a chain 7, and working behind the last petal worked, single crochet in the next slip stitch, chain 7, working behind the last petal worked, single crochet in the next slip stitch. And you want to repeat that all the way around. On the last repeat, replace the last single crochet with a slip stitch to the first stitch at the beginning of the round to join. And this is what your work should look like at the end of round 8, which means you really can't see it from the front side, but you can see those chain 7 spaces on the wrong side. And we're now going to fasten off. For round 9, we're going to join our crochet hook with a new yarn. This is colorway Violet. And we're going to, for round 9, be repeating round 7, which is to slip stitch into the next chain 7 space, chain 3, 7 treble crochets, chain 3, and slip stitch in that same chain 7 space. Chain 3 and slip stitch, and there's the end of our first petal. And then in our repeat is in each chain 7 space around, we're going to work slip stitch, chain 3, 7 treble crochet, chain 3, and slip stitch. So you want to repeat that all the way around. And this is what your work should look like at the end of round 9. Round 10 begins with a slip stitch into the next slip stitch, chain 9, working behind the last petal made, single crochet in the next slip stitch. And so for this entire round, we're going to repeat chain 9, working behind the next petal, single crochet in the next slip stitch. And you want to repeat that all the way around. And then we'll slip stitch to join to the beginning of the round. Round 10, you're not going to see from the front side of the work, but when you turn it over, you'll see those 6 chain 9 spaces. Round 11 begins with slip stitch into the first chain 9 space, chain 4, and we're going to work 9 double treble crochets in this space. Double treble is yarn over your hook 3 times, insert your hook in the space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on your hook, 2 loops on your hook, 2 loops on your hook, and 2 loops on your hook. We're going to do that for a total of 9 times in this chain 9 space. Okay, then after you do your 9 double treble crochets, chain 4 and slip stitch into the same chain 9 space. And so our repeat for this entire round is in each chain 9 space, we're going to work slip stitch, chain 4, 9 double treble crochets, chain 4, and slip stitch. At the end of round 11, we are done with the flower and we're ready to begin the hat, which also means we're going to fasten off at the end of this round. Now, before we continue on with the hat, I think this is a really great place to stop and think about all the different ways that we could use this beautiful flower and not put it on a hat. If you wanted to get this far and use it, attach it to a barrette or a hair comb, this would look fabulous as a hair accessory. Tie it to a headband, use it as embellishment for a brooch to wear on a sweater, as an embellishment to put on a bag, or you could even use this as the top side to a motif to make an afghan, and I'll show you a little more about that once we get started on the hat. So let's grab our next color of yarn to make the hat. And what we're going to do is work the hat right to the base of that flower. So we'll take our next color and tie it to our crochet hook. And we're going to slip stitch to any slip stitch in between 2 petals on the previous round, and chain 9. Working behind the petals on the last round, we're going to single crochet in the next slip stitch, chain 9. Working behind the next petal, single crochet in the next slip stitch, and you want to repeat this all the way around. Okay, and on our last repeat, we will slip stitch to the first stitch at the beginning of the round to join. And you just want to make sure that this entire round doesn't show on the front side of the work, but that those chain 9 spaces are all showing on the back side of the work. Hat starts with slip stitch into the first chain 9 space, chain 3, which counts as a double crochet, and work 7 double crochets in that same space. A double crochet is yarn over your hook, insert your hook in the space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we're doing 7 double crochets plus a chain 3 that counts as a double crochet is the equivalent of putting 8 double crochets in this chain 9 space. Chain 3 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I did one too many. Okay, so it's chain 3 and 7 more double crochets. Now for the rest of the round, we're working 8 double crochets in each chain 9 space around. At the end of round 2, we will slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 at the beginning of the round to join, because that chain 3 counted as our first double crochet. And at the end of round 2, you should have 48 double crochets. Round 3 begins with a chain 3, which counts as a double crochet, and we're going to work 1 double crochet in each stitch around. Oh, but actually at the end of the last round is when we finally have a flat surface here where we've got a round that could be the beginning of a motif. So even though we're going to work even in the round for round 3, that's because we want our hat to start creating walls. We're not going to do any more increasing because from this 48 stitch round, we're going to work even so it creates a hat. If you wanted to add 4 corners at an equal distance on the next round, you would create a square. If you wanted to add 6 corners, you would create a hexagon. You could make this into any size motif at this point, keeping that 3-dimensional flower on the surface of the motif, which would be great for making any kind of a bag or an afghan or a scarf, even something that you want to have embellished. But if you're going to make this for a hat, like we're doing in this pattern, round 3 would be to work 1 double crochet in each stitch around. 3, we'll slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 at the beginning of the round to join. And we should now, because we're not increasing anymore, we're just working even in the round, we should still have 48 stitches. You want to repeat round 3 until your hat is the desired height tall. And then on the last round, we're going to work a chain 1 and single crochet in the same stitch, chain 4, and a 3 treble crochet cluster in the same stitch. So yarn over twice, insert your hook in the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and we'll do that 2 more times. Okay, so you can see that we now have 4 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull through all 4 loops on our hook. We're going to skip the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and single crochet in the next stitch. And by skipping stitches and single crocheting after the cluster, you can see that it turns those clusters on their side so they lay horizontally, and that's what gives us this beautiful scalloped edge on the lower hem of, or the brim of the hat. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions at all, please leave them for me in the comments. And everything we talked about today is linked in the video description below. Let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and every day. I'll see you in the next video.